Mr. B's speed history. Okay, revising historians, what are we looking at today in our very few minutes of video joy together? It is what caused World War II. Lots of different ways of looking at, lots of different factors you could focus on. I'm going to look at four. Firstly, Treaty of Versailles. Clearly, this is a long-term cause of World War II. Versailles Treaty signed 1919. World War II not breaking out until 20 years later. But it does cause, it lays the foundations for most of the problems that will follow. The German people want revenge. They don't believe they lost the war. They think they've been unfairly punished. They want to get their own back. But the thing that makes Versailles so important is that it fundamentally links to all the other factors. It links to the Wall Street crash because of the impact of reparations. It links to Hitler's ideas. Number one idea, overturn Treaty of Versailles. It links to appeasement. Britain and France perhaps thinking that they treated Germany too harshly and therefore should allow Germany to recover some of its former strength. And the first act of World War II was a direct result of something that Germany lost, which was West Prussia. So, Treaty of Versailles, very important, underlying long-term causes all of the others, could be seen as most important if you want to go down that road. Second thing then, the Wall Street crash. So between the Treaty of Versailles and the Wall Street crash, Germany recovers, both economically and internationally, joining the League of Nations, signing the Locarno Treaty, Dawes-Young Plan. So Germany, despite, as Stresemann said, dancing on a volcano, is getting better and stronger. However, Wall Street crash hits and it has a disproportionately difficult impact on Germany because of the Dawes Plan and the Young Plan. They recall their loans, the volcano erupts, unemployment soars to over 6 million people. Desperate people look for desperate solutions. The Nazis surge as a result of the Wall Street crash. I say that confidently because Hitler had written Mein Kampf in 1925 and all his ideas had been laid out in that book. But still, by 1928, the last election before the Wall Street crash, the Nazis were the least popular party. Then, within a few years of the Wall Street crash, they were the most popular party. Hitler becomes Chancellor. So in my view, no Wall Street crash, no Hitler. No Hitler, no Hitler's foreign policy, no Hitler's foreign policy, no World War II. So, Wall Street crash makes the impact of Versailles much more likely to be negative. Okay, Hitler's foreign policy, very quickly, overturn Treaty of Versailles. He does that. Remilitarization of the Rhineland, rearmament, Anschluss with Austria, etc., etc., etc. He unites all German-speaking people, I've already mentioned Austria, and he looks for living space in the east. Now, he does that partly through negotiation, Sudeten crisis, but later through invasion with Czechoslovakia. And that takes us on to our fourth reason, which is appeasement. And it depends on your definition. I'm not wholly negative about appeasement because Britain and France were not in a state to fight after the Wall Street crash. And their plan was to give in to Hitler's reasonable demands so as to avoid or at least delay war. In 1938, Britain had no Spitfire squadrons and no radar organisation. By September 1939, they had both of those, so were in a better position not to lose the war. So Britain and France actively help Hitler become stronger. Anglo-German naval agreement. But the thing I like to focus most on is the remilitarization of the Rhineland. Hitler tells his generals to basically run away if Britain and France send the troops in, but we don't. Why do I think this is a critical turning point? Well, because in 1934, when Hitler tries to make his first attempt to unite with Austria, the simple fact of Italy moving its troops to the Austrian border makes Hitler stop. So standing up to him early on would have made a difference. But with rearmament, Rhineland, Anschluss, and then the Sudeten crisis conference and agreement, Hitler is becoming stronger and almost unstoppable. And then when Hitler invades the rest of Czechoslovakia in 1939, despite what he promised at the Munich conference, then Britain and France are clear that Hitler is no longer reasonable and cannot ideally be stopped through the policy of appeasement. Therefore, they give the guarantee to Poland. It's the guarantee to Poland which means that the German invasion of Poland leads to World War II rather than just another small localized military conflict. So Versailles, Wall Street crash, Hitler's foreign policy, appeasement, all of them are linked to Versailles. I would personally make a very strong case for Versailles, Wall Street crash, or appeasement, because if you think about it, with appeasement, even after Versailles, even after Hitler coming to power, if Britain and France had stood up to Hitler in terms of rearmament, in terms of Rhineland, then he could have been stopped before things came too dangerous for Britain and France. So there you go, a bit longer than the normal speed, but hey, it's a big topic, it's a big question. Good luck.